Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. So again, we study about the life of Buddha. So let us review what we learned last time. We learned about the Buddha attained enlightenment after defeating his internal and external Mara, demonic enemies, and he attained enlightenment when he was around 35 years old. After that, he stayed around that Buddha trees for 7 weeks. And let me show you the video clips that will review what we have learned before. Okay, so you see that after his enlightenment, so he stayed there for another 7 weeks, and he gazed at his seat on the Buddha trees for the first week, and after the second week, he still he stay around there and pay the respect to that Buddha tree that shelter him during his uh, struggle for enlightenment. Like mentioned last time, we have internal and external demons, and the most fearful one is the internal demons. Demon here is related to the mental afflictions like stress, anxiety, depression, worriness, and so forth. For example, when we sit in meditations, somehow many limitless thoughts that pop up and go in our mind. Let's say while we sitting there, we have the thought that worry about how our job might be ended tomorrow, or we may not know what's happened to us while we're driving the car on the street. We may concern about our children, our wife, parents, husband, and so forth. With those kind of thoughts, they obstruct our concentration. They pull us away from our focuses on the breath and so forth. So those are the demon, internal demon that obstruct our wisdom and concentration. So that's why it's mentioned here. The Buddha struggle with his internal uh, demons of Maras, and after he won that battle, he attained enlightenment. And so when we sit there in meditation, so all kind of thought would pop up and go in our mind. It's better not to be disturbed by them. Otherwise, when we sit in there, they would pull us away from our concentration. So that's why we need to recognize them. So during that week, the second week, he gaze or look at the Buddha trees uh, motionless and to show his appreciation to that tree where that shelter him for the time that he sit there to do meditation and attain enlightenment. And of course, later on, the Buddhist disciple built a temple at that place where he stood to gaze at the Buddha trees, and that's called the Amimesh Lochana uh, Chatya. Mm. And he stood there for a week, look at the Buddha trees from that location, and later on, uh, people built that temple to mark where he stood there for 1 week. And of course, because of his samadhi, he could soon stand there for 1 week. But for us, there's no way to stand even few hours per day. Not talking about a week. Um, so after that, he sat down and relaxed himself at that place. And again, according to the story, it says that the wife of Ashoka emperor was jealous because of these Bodhi trees. So she cut down the original one. Uh, but later on, according to the tradition, it grew up again. Or another tradition, it said that they brought back a branch that they implant in Sri Lanka. Uh, that is the third generation of that Bodhi trees. So depend upon the tradition that we rely upon. So for the first week, he stayed there, and at that time, some devas, celestial beings, still have the doubt whether he attained enlightenment yet. So he recognized their thought through his psychic power. So he worked back and forth around that area for another week, and to create a pure hole to demonstrate that he has such a power after his enlightenment to show um, his awakening. And at that time, um, he manifests himself to have that pure hole. Okay, let me show you some of the hole here. If you visit India, so this is the place where it indicate that during the third week, he manifests himself or using his psychic power to have the jewel hole to show that he have attained enlightenment. And those are the steps that he walked back and forth um, during those weeks after his enlightenment. And during the 4 week, again, he spent his times in that jewel hole or chamber. Uh, and according to all the tradition, it said that jewel hole or chamber was present to him by some devas, and there he uh, sat and contemplate the Abhidharma or the high teaching or the analysis of Dharma. And here, you see that there's a true hole that he stay there for another week, and he purify his body and mind. And at that moment, he ponder about the book of Relations. That's one of the 7 commentaries in the Abhidharmas or the analysis collections. And later on, In the Buddha teachings, we classify into what they call uh, uh, three canyons. The first one is the Sutra, what they call the Tipitaka, the three books of teachings of the Buddha. The first one is the Sutra, or the teachings that provide during his lifetime. Of course, sometimes there was some teaching of his great disciple, like Shakiputra, or even some teachings from lay people. If those teachings are incompatible with the Buddha teachings, so most of times in the Sutta Pitaka or the Sutta collections, um, they include the Buddha teachings mostly. Another one is the Vijnana. That means the collections of the moral rules of monastic regulations that is established for his monastic followers to follow. And the last one is Abhidhamma. That means the collection of the analysis books that explain his teaching later on. So during that week, he contemplated deeply and profoundly his doctrine, and somehow from his body, it admits to the five colors like the blue, the yellow, red, white, and orange, and others combinations of those brightness of colors. And later on, uh, the Buddhist, based upon the Buddha light, to develop what we call the Buddha flags. And the blue light represent universal compassion for all beings. The yellow light represent the middle way that he followed after he recognized that the uh, way to torture body could not attain anything. And of course, the way that our human beings indulge in all kind of entertainments, attachment that could lead us go nowhere. So that's why he want to stay away from those two extremes. So that's what we call the middle way. That's represented by the yellow light, and the red light represent blessing that practice from the Buddha teachings, and the white light represent the purity of the Buddha teaching. The orange light represent the unshakable wisdom. The combination of colors represent the universal truth of the Buddha teaching. That were the 4 weeks when he sat inside the jewel hall to contemplate about the Abhidhamma analysis collections of teachings, and he admit those lines, and later on we use or based upon those lines to develop the Buddha, to develop the Buddhist flags, and in all Buddhist country use that flags nowadays. So for the 5th week, he stayed there and enjoyed the bliss of liberations. Um, he understood or recognized the cause of suffering of mankind. He was able to free himself from not being tied down in those attachment. So he demand there in the state of happiness of nirvana. Again, nirvana does mean the state of mind, not the place where we attain to have the utmost peacefulness of mind. That means there's no trace of passion, there's no trace of attachment, There's no trace of anger. So that's why whoever claim themselves as arhat should transform all that kind of mental affliction, the passion, attachment, and anger. If we still have a trace of them, there's no way for us to attain enlightenment. So that is why someone attain nirvana could have that kind of ultimate bliss. And again, for us as a common people, we could not have that kind of experience. But let's say, let's take one example, like if somehow one attached to, let's say, a cigarette or alcohol, whenever they stop by at the gas station, they would walk into that gas station and buy some alcohol or some cigarettes so that they can smoke and drink. And there's no way for them to restrain themselves from smoking or drinking because of that type of addiction. Uh, and that type of addiction tie them down. That they could not be free from those intoxicants substances. But for us, we don't have any kind of attachment to them. So whenever we stop by at the a gas station or any place that sell alcohol or cigarette, we don't bother to think about them because we don't have any kind of attachment to them. But for those addicted with alcohol and cigarette, they get stuck there. So that is analogy show that if we are free from attachment of other things, we would have the peaceful mind, happy minds. Uh, but as much as we still have some sort of attachment, a passion, anger, there's no way for us to have the peaceful mind and happy mind. So, for example, if we have mm, connection or relationship with someone else, but we try to dominate their life, we try to control them. So if they somehow hang around with other friends, the opposite sex, we may have that kind of jealousy, and that harm us and our friends because of the attachment. We think that we try to control them, but somehow there's no way for us to control them except themselves. So because of that type of attachment, we harm them ourselves as well as others. But if we respect their right, whichever way they want, if they want to continue with our relationship that way, if they want to move on, that's their choice. I might be more peaceful. So that is the way how we deal with other people. And the other situation, as much as we have that type of understanding, recognition, we're more peaceful. So again, for those attain nirvana, they would be free from any kind of passion or attachment. And regardless of the situation, they would remain in that state of mind, the utmost uh, peacefulness and utmost happiness. So during the fifth week after enlightenment, there's one Brahmin that stopped by and saw the Buddha, and he asked the Buddha, "What kind of moral characters one must have to be a true Brahmin and a noble person?" So the Buddha replied to him that if you want to be a true Brahmin, a holy person, you should restrain yourself from having evil thought or negative thought. You should be humble, sensitive, and have good attitude in learning and live a pure life. Um, you must behave yourself well to deserve as to be deserved as a holy person or a Brahmin. So that is the reply of the Buddha. And also another record, it says that during this 5th week after enlightenment, Mara, he sent his 3 daughters, the daughters of passion, um, craving, and boring, to bother, to disturb the Buddha. And definitely they did in vain. They could not obstruct the Buddha anything because of his strong mind and wisdom. And later on, the next week, that means the 6th week after his enlightenment, he went to a tree, what they call the Muchalida trees, to spend that 6 weeks there. He enjoyed the bliss of liberation. Again, the liberation here, it doesn't mean that we go somewhere else, but we free mentally from the attachment. Like I gave that analogy that if we don't attach to cigarette or alcohol, we would be free from them wherever we go. So that is the Buddha um, mm, abilities to be liberated or to be free from any kind of attachment. But for us, yes, we don't have attachment, or we're not addicted with those intoxicants like smoking, drinking, and so forth. But we have some kind of attachment like internet, movie, food, and so forth. All kind of those attachment tires down that we could have the peacefulness and happiness within ourselves. We could not have the pure mind within ourselves because of those attachments. For example, if we attach to our cell phone, iPhone, and so forth, we work hard to earn money to buy those items. And while we're working, of course, there's a lot of hard work involved. So we couldn't have times to calm our mind, to meditate. And not talking about while we're working at any place, at the company, or even we work for ourselves. It's all kind of challenges, all kind of difficulties, all kind of problems occur that obstruct or cover our mind because of the attachment to those items. So many people they work 2 day, I mean, sorry, 2 jobs, 3 jobs to buy those items, to buy the luxury cars, a beautiful house, and so forth. But they have to pay for the price of hardship while they are working at those places. So again, uh, because of that type of attachment, they pour into those work to spend their times on working to earn money so that they can satisfy themselves to buy those items. So again, in the course of working, in the course of dealing with those problems, they don't have much time to contemplate themselves, to purify their mind. And that's why they're not free um, from those things. And for us, that's why as a monastic members, we try our best to minimize those attachment. Of course, as Buddhist monks and nuns, we still have some sort of attachment, but still, we try to minimize them. We try to let them go. As otherwise, there's no way for us to have peaceful mind, even when we stay in the monastery or temple. If we look for those things and those things, we could not have the peaceful mind if we have the craving mind. So again, with that type of awakening, the Buddha spent his 6 weeks to enjoy the bliss of liberation, the bliss of being free of any attachment. And at that time, there was a great storm that lasted for several days. And the serpent king, Muchalinda, came out from his place and carried around the body of the Buddha 7 times uh, to keep his large foot over the head of the Buddha to protect him. Let me show you the image of that serpent king that cover the head or protect the head of the Buddha. And these are the another image too. So that's during the 6 weeks after enlightenment. Mm, So because of this virtue, the Buddha could have that type of protection from this serpent king. And after um, the storm or the rain stopped, the serpent king Mucha appears as a young man to pay respect to the Buddha. Uh, and later on, especially today, uh, there's no Mujalinda trees, but at the Buddha uh, attain enlightenment place, the Buddhist tree, and now we still have what they call the pond that behind the Buddhist trees. There is the pond, and his disciple built the Buddha statue that sat under this platform that covered by the seven kings. And here, that's just behind the Buddha tree where he attained enlightenment. So, and during the 7 week after his enlightenment, um, so there were two Burmese merchants. Somehow they passed by that place and they were surprised to look at the Buddha extraordinary appearance. So they respectfully offer the food to them, um, and uh, and there is the first meal ever the Buddha took after fasting for 49 days during those times that he sitting in meditation to attain enlightenment. So for people, they may wonder how could someone fast for that long, 49 days? Actually, not only 49 days, but um, depend upon the skill, the samadhi, concentration skill of people or the highly attended master. Mm, some of them could attain samadhi for days, for weeks, for months, for years, for decades, or even centuries. So for us as normal people, we may wonder how could they enter that type of samadhi without drinking, eating for that long. But somehow, let's say if we watch some kind of movies and somehow that movies or story is so interesting, we focus our mind and we may not pay attention much about the times. So at that time, with that type of concentration of focuses, times is meaningless. So that's why someone, if they enter samadhi, they would not pay much attention about the times. Remember the times that you talk with your friends, the lovely friends, that you could not pay attention much, 1 hour, 2 hours, a few hours passed by, and you could not pay attention much about that times because of your concentration on that conversation or interaction. So there's concentration or samadhi So that's why when the Buddha entered samadhi or concentration or meditation state of mind, during that 4 days, for him there's no need to eat or drink. But after that, for the 7th week, these two lay person, the Burmese person, people offer the Buddha the food, including the rice cake and honey, um, on that day, and they were the first lay disciples of the Buddha uh, right after his enlightenment. And at that time, they just took what we call the two refuge, the refuge to the Buddha and his Dharma. That means his teaching, not the Sangha yet, because the Buddha has not established the monastic communities yet. So they were the first two Buddhist disciples right after the Buddha attained enlightenment. And after that, after they took the refuge to the Buddha and Dharma, the Buddha gave them a strand of hair for them to worship as a holy object to venerate. So those hair relics are those still worship in Yangon, Myanmar, or Burma. So that is the story related to their offerings. And after that 7 week, he stood up and went from Bodhigaya to Uru Vela forest. Let me show you the map where he went to. So here, from Gaya or Bodhigaya now, he went to Uruvela forest, and at that time, it said that a Brahma, a king of celestial realms, came down to request the Buddha turning the Dharma wheel. That means the teaching. So at that time, this Brahma flew down and made request 3 times. The Buddha gave the teachings, so he should not keep the Dharma for himself. Right, so let me explain further. According to Buddhism, the Buddha wait for people to request him to teach, so that they would listen carefully and sincerely. Most of times during his life after enlightenment, he wait for people to make the request 3 times before he gave any teaching, so that they could have that type of sincere mind. Let's say if someone asks you the question, and if they're not serious about their question, definitely you try our best to reply to their question, but they may not pay attention much what we try to explain to them. So in order to invoke their sincerity, the Buddha wait for them to make the request 3 times. So, well, of course, there's some exception too. There's especially in the Mahayana Sutra, it say that there's some special sutra like Amitabha Buddha Sutra, that the Buddha didn't wait for people to make the request to teach, but because he recognized this kind of teaching is so important, he went ahead to teach them anyway, to show them that is so important. And go back to this celestial gods, the king of celestial god, Brahma Sahampati, the one that requests Buddha turn Dharma wheel to teach. So according to one of the sutra, the Mahayana Sutra, it says that in the past there were 3 companions who practiced the Dharma or meditations. So one made the vows that would attain enlightenment weaker, sooner. Another one made the vows that he would be protector of that Buddha. And the third one made the vows to request the teachings from that Buddha. So those are the 3 companions of friends in the past. And actually, the Buddha said that the one who made the vows to become the Buddha quicker, that's been secondly Buddha. And the one who made the vows to protect the Buddha Dharma, that's is the Bodhisattva of Vajrapani. And the companions that made the vows to request that Buddha to turn Dhamma wheel or to give the teachings was Brahma Samapati. That's been the celestial kings. This celestial king who request the Buddha turn the Dhamma wheel according to the Mahayana traditions. And here, let me show you some of the image that this celestial king came down and request the Buddha turn in the Dhamma wheel. And here, that's the image that show this Indra and Brahma salute the Buddha to request him to turn the Dhamma wheel, to give the teaching properly. So at that time, because of their sincerity, he decided to turn Dhamma wheel. That means to teach people. And another account, it said that the king of demon, Mara, he tried to stop the Buddha teaching by requesting the Buddha enter Nirvana or passing away. So the Buddha at that time say that, wow, you know, I have not have the 4 types of disciples. That's been monks, nuns, laymen, and laywomen. So I have not have those 4 types of disciples yet. So I cannot enter Nirvana yet. So later on, when he was 80 years old, and Mara came down again, request the Buddha enter the Nirvana, that's been passed away. And the Buddha accept his request. So that's one of the account that I can share with you here. So after listening to the sincere request of this celestial king, the Buddha ponder about what type of teachings that he's supposed to give to people. Okay, let's stop here today, and next time we will learn how the Buddha turn the Dhamma wheel or to give the teaching. Nam mô Sakamni Buddha.